My name is Adam Schabow, and welcome to Rants Without Pants. We're back, baby! It's been a while. I'd say about 70 years. Most of those years happening within the last year. I've grown 3 more hairs up here that I'm really excited about that. How have you been? I hope you're healthy. I hope everything throughout this crazy time we're living in, I hope you're doing well. There is now a format change to the show. I now have a co-host, and she happens to be my 2-year-old daughter, Zoe Schabow. Say hi, Zoe.
Hi, Zoe. Hi. Nice Zoe.
Now, Zoe's here to give us the youth perspective. Guess what? She loves AOC.
O-E-T.
Now, I originally had 3 segments, one being the Republican National Convention.
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
The second one being the COVID-19, and then the third, an interview with Dana Pellebon regarding all the crap that's happening in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And today, the president's...
Boo.
You're opinionated. The president's going to Kenosha, even though he really wasn't invited.
No.
You know, there's a lot of worry about fanning the flames. And also, Dana is just such an amazing interviewer. And quite frankly, the topic deserves the full episode. So I'm basically going to just skip those other segments and go right to the interview. I just have a few minor things I wanted to quick touch on. COVID-19, basically what I was going to say is stop being weird, people. Just wear a mask. It's not political. You're making this last longer. So just do it. So Zoe, what's on your mind?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Zoe, what do you think about growing up in today's political climate? Hi, Dana. How's it going?
Hi, Adam. Hi, Zoe.
Here is Dana Pelebon. She's a fixture within the community. I was lucky. You want to help? Yeah. You want to read this with me? I was lucky enough to work with her on our movie, The New World Horror. That was before you were born. But besides being an actress, writer, and director, she's an outspoken advocate for all things good in the world. Dana, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. Can you say thank you as well?
Oh, you're welcome, Zoe.
So, you know, we're here to talk about what's going on in Kenosha, right?
Yeah.
Tonight, 2 people are in police custody in 2 different states involved in 2 separate shootings in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The first is Jacob Blake, the victim of a police shooting, shot in the back Sunday as he walked away from officers and was reaching inside his vehicle. Tonight, Blake lays in a Wisconsin hospital, paralyzed from the waist down and, according to his father, handcuffed to his bed. The second is 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, who was seen on video shooting 3 people Tuesday night on the streets of Kenosha. Rittenhouse was officially charged with 5 felonies today, including 2 counts of homicide.
We're protecting from the citizens, and I just got pepper sprayed by a person in the crowd.
Rittenhouse was interviewed shortly before the shootings and was asked if he was using non-lethal rounds.
We don't have non-lethal.
So you guys are full on ready to defend the property?
Yes, we are.
He's now awaiting extradition to Wisconsin from Illinois, where the former police cadet was able to drive back to after the shootings, despite walking with his hands up towards police.
For him to even be able to shoot somebody and still walk away from the scene. I mean, you know, they talked about finding a knife inside of the car, not even on Jacob Blake's person, but this guy's carrying around a long gun, killed somebody, just walking freely, was able to get back home to Illinois. Then, you know, we got a much bigger problem on our hands.
How exhausted are you to have to continually have this conversation with your, like, white friends, right? That are, do they... Is that added pressure on, like, for instance, someone like me who is asking you to do this thing, right?
So I don't tire of telling the truth, and I don't tire of being someone that can educate people on things. I do tire of people that are purposely obtuse or willfully ignorant. So that is tiring. So my friends, and I use that word loosely because my friends really work hard to not do that. But the people who are my acquaintances and circles, they can be tiring sometimes. Not because I tire of saying things, but because I tire of saying things repeatedly.
And now I would think from all that's going on, it's probably amplifying it more.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because I felt weird asking, and it was like, am I crossing the line here that I shouldn't? And I know that one of the things that my wife was worried about is me embarrassing myself. So,
that's what all wives worry about. It's all good. It's all good.
But the main thing, you know, I hear my conservative white friends say is why didn't he just stop?
Why should he?
That's my
Right. I mean, I for fun watch a bunch of videos of white people not listening to cops because so many of them do. And my partner is a 53-year-old white male who has many stories of him walking away from cops, cussing a cop out, all of these things. But complete and utter obedience is required of black people. Well, that's a holdover from believing that you are superior and that you have the rights to our bodies. Well, you don't. And I get to, unless I'm under arrest, not talk to a cop. I get to walk away. That's well within my rights. So, why should he? And really, that's what it comes down to for me.
becoming the 17-year-old, right?
Right.
Who comes up, kills 2 people, injures one of them.
Yeah.
Right? And he's physically there with a huge AR-15. A bunch of his friends are, and he goes home. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that has to just piss you off.
So viscerally, yes, it's upsetting, but also that's normal. Yeah. Like, when don't white men get to walk through places with large guns without being harassed? I mean, that is a normal state of being. And reminding ourselves that militias have historically worked in concert with police. Militias have been a part of police. Police came out of militias. Police came out of slave catchers. So knowing that, it's not surprising. Is it angering? Well, sure, it's angering. But it doesn't shock me on any level. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
White dude got away with walking away with a gun. Sweet.
Right.
And then, of course, gets martyred while doing it.
Right. I mean, that's what's, crazy right now, where you have people that... You want to move a little closer? Okay. Where you have a Christian group that raised $200,000.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even, growing up Christian in a Lutheran home, I can't even imagine that. Like, how can that, if Jesus was alive now, he'd be marching.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yes, he would. He threw over the money changers' tables, and
right.
People forget about that.
Yeah.
He said, give unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. He does not want anything to do with that, right? And constantly talked about advocating for those who did not have. So there are groups that label themselves Christian that do things that are the antithesis of what it is that they state they believe in. Right. So again, not shocking. Christians held slaves. Christians right. have done a variety of really not okay things.
Right.
So what I appreciate is people letting me know who they are. And one of the things that a friend of mine and I were talking about, because we're both from the South, from New Orleans, and in the South, you know what white people don't like. You know that they don't like you. You know that there is a specific divide. And up here, it's a little, it is couched in so many different forms that you forget, right? So I appreciate when Christian groups show me who they are. And I'm like, okay, good. Now I know.
Right.
Okay, this is what you think? Thank you. Now I know. Because it is not as overt as it was where I grew up, where you just knew those white folks over there, they don't like you. The end, done.
The Kenosha County Sheriff, David Beck.
Let's put them in jail. Let's stop them from truly, at least some of these males going out and getting 10 other women pregnant and having small children. Let's put them away. At some point, we have to stop being politically correct. If there's a threshold that they cross, these people have to be warehoused. No recreational time.
We need to build warehouses to put these people into and lock them away for the rest of their lives. This is right now the current Kenosha County Sheriff, David Beck.
Well, they already do that in the American carceral system. So he is He is upholding the institutions upon which that a segment of society believes that people have no redeemable qualities and therefore should be incarcerated for life and warehoused. It's gross.
It is gross.
It's upsetting, and it highlights why it is. Thank you. Why it is that there needs to be reform in these spaces, and not just reform, but dismantling of those spaces, because you can't fix that. You can't fix that entire attitude. You can't fix a system that is based upon warehousing people because you set them up to fail and then get mad when they do, right? You cannot bring drugs into a community and then go, oh my gosh, this community has drugs, so let's criminalize them for it.
So let's talk about that. You're pro defunding the police. Right?
Yeah.
And then explain, because people, they hear that,
Mm-hmm.
they get concerned, right?
Yeah.
Of just what it says,
Mm-hmm.
defunding the police.
Mm-hmm.
So, explain what that means to you and everyone.
So let's remember that the police are not a peacekeeping force. For the most part, they're an investigatory arm after something has happened. They don't prevent many things from happening. So realistically, when you're thinking about this agency, why does it have to be militarized? So instead of militarizing an agency, you put that money into things that actually help communities. And when people say, I can't imagine a world without police, I say, go to affluent, rich, white neighborhoods. Those are areas without police. They have fully funded schools. They have fully funded social service programs. There's mental health available to them. They do not have food insecurity. They do not have housing insecurity. So all of these things, when you put the funds into them, shows really clearly what can happen. However, again, when people are focused on power, control, and obedience, they don't want to give up the arm that they have to control the people that they want to control. And that is those without power, that is those of a different color, that is those who have a different immigration status, and those without money. It behooves the people in power to keep things the way that they are.
Okay, good. This is great, Dana. Thank you. So good. I actually hear it once in a while. Yeah.
I know. Oh,
Gary,
God.
that's what I'm going to hear on the audio for the iPhone.
Oh,
totally.
Yeah, right.
Fuck yeah.
Well, and what's fucked up is like they also don't want to change the system. Like it serves their purpose. That's the problem. That's where we're at this impasse.
Right.
Where all of us like good-hearted people are like, everybody wants to be nice, right? No.
Right. They don't.
Right.
It serves them.
You focus on housing security, you focus on food security, you focus on personal safety, employment. There are so many things that need to happen in order for our communities to thrive, and this is for every community. So I struggle with understanding why people are against making sure people have homes, why people are against making sure that people eat. There's this idea that you have to do everything yourself, and that American exceptionalism includes you pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, except for that doesn't actually happen. And the way that wealth is built is through nepotism, is through generational advantages. It's through land ownership. It's through the ability to have the time to be an entrepreneur. People don't understand that owning your own business isn't just, I'm going to own my own business and then it'll be great. I can make all the money. That's not how that works, right?
And it's voter suppression, right? I mean, that you don't have a voice if you're...
That is correct. That is correct. And the way that they won in 2016 was voter suppression.
Right. And what was it back in 2013? I can't remember. Where Section 4 of the Voters' Right Act was talking about dismantled, completely destroyed, right? Taken out.
Because racism's done, right?
Right. That was the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
That, well, racism is done.
That's over. We
got
have a black president. Good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Right. And now, I mean, voter suppression, was always happening, but it definitely seems like that helped.
Yes.
Because you couldn't get, local authorities can do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
Instead of having any sort of federal regulation over it.
Absolutely. And when local authorities are advocating for people to be warehoused because, they're just irredeemable, and these are people in their early 20s and minors who were shoplifting.
Right.
Because, no one has ever shoplifted and has been redeemed from that Winona Ryder. Like, that just hasn't happened ever.
Right.
So, leaving things to local control is problematic in about 40 different ways.
Yeah, I mean, just in, I lived in Milwaukee, and they had tons of polling places. And then, what was the last one? They had 5.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the original number was.
I think it was like 180, and it went down to like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it was. I can't even. I mean, I can't even imagine that.
And nothing happened with that. Like,
no
one did a thing because it was in black neighborhoods.
Right.
So I mean, there are so many things that are wrought with issues right now. That it's almost hard to conceptualize and wrap your head around it. And we tend to do a lot of whiplashing where it's George Floyd, then Jacob, and then, there's voter suppression, and then there's this, and every day there's something new. And by new, I mean not new conceptually, but brought out into the open because of how news travels differently and how people talk about things differently and on cameras. So
yeah, but that's what's so when I was just trying to figure out things to touch on with this, it was very difficult for me because everything's wrapped together.
Yeah.
Right? Voter suppression is wrapped together with income inequality, which is wrapped together with, having power, which is, and wealth, and, and and then therefore you can't change, you have a harder time changing the system because of that,
We are all raised in a system that institutionalized racism. That is what we are all taught. It's one of the reasons why I say you cannot reform the police, because the institution of racism has been taught from generation to generation. And when you think about the police captains now, those were the people that were trained by the people that were hosing my parents in New Orleans during the race riots. So, I mean, when something is ingrained into the institution, you can't separate yourself from it. And what I say to people is to educate yourself. If you're not a reader, then listen to podcasts. If you don't like listening to podcasts, watch YouTube videos. There are so many good people who are out there and giving the information and learning the history of systems. So I'm a reader. I'm also a Virgo, so I'm a little crazy. So I need to know what the genesis of things are so that I can accurately dismantle, that I can accurately critique, and that I can accurately work to change. And unless you understand the history of the systems, of course it's going to sound like, well, this is just over here anecdotal, or this is just over here a thing that happens every once in a while. But you really have to dive into the history. And I have spent decades of my life reading, understanding, trying to figure out, watching people, listening to people. And I believe that everyone has to do that work. Is it hard work? Absolutely. It requires you to look at yourself, and it required me, as a light-skinned person, to recognize my own privileges and recognize how I move through the world versus my dark-skinned sisters, and understanding that I have to step back and allow for their voices to be heard, and that I cannot speak on certain things on behalf of them because that is not my experience, and I don't have that same oppression. So instead, I listen, I educate myself, and then I uplift the voices that need to be uplifted, those that are disenfranchised, those that have less privilege than I have. It's one of the reasons why it's so important to me to have Black trans women always heard, because they are the least heard. And
Like a double whammy.
absolutely. So I'm not going to talk for them. Absolutely not. Not my place. Instead, I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to educate myself separately from them. And then I'm going to uplift their voices when that time comes. So it takes work, and it takes time and energy and dedication, and that's hard for people. And I get that that's not how people want to live their existence, but it's got to be better than what it is that we're seeing. And the only way it's going to get better is if people do that work, because it's actual work.
Right. And people get defensive.
They do.
And I'm not gonna lie, I would, I get defensive as well, and it's hard to hear you're racist, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that with that uncomfortability comes growth.
Right.
And so while it's uncomfortable right now, that growth is amazing. I just encourage people to do the work on themselves and figure out, what things they want to focus on. Not everybody can focus on everything. Not everybody has the bandwidth for everything. So decide the thing that you have the bandwidth for and go focus on it and work and educate yourself. And then listen. Yes, listen.
Perfect. We'll end it with that.
Sweet.
Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you.
So right now, President Trump is talking to the people of Kenosha. He was asked by the mayor and asked by the governor to not come. And, he's coming. He came. He's talking right now. He's not even gonna talk to the family. The family just wanted a lawyer there. And he said he thought that was inappropriate. And so he's not even seeing the parents of Jacob Blake, which is infuriating. Like Dana was saying, if you don't know what Trump is, there's no helping you anymore. There just isn't. And I think there's a perfect clip to show of our previous governor, Scott Walker, on the privilege that we as white people have. Play the clip.
To the sheriff I reached out to, the mayor didn't want support, the sheriff did, and we took action.
Right. I just think at a time like this, only pointing out what you say are Democratic failures, which I understand wanting Joe Biden to say something that he hasn't said, but not actually pointing out silence. You said silence is complicity on Democrats' part. The president has not even addressed the shooting of Mr. Blake. Now, I understand there's an ongoing investigation, and it's very important that investigation, because for all we know, some circumstances may arise that would more fully inform everybody's opinion about what happened, because we would know, what preceded this, or what was in the officers' minds, or did this person have a gun? Did this person have a weapon? Which seems the police say, looks like we lost your signal.
So Walker was having a hard time answering a tough question regarding racial injustice. And he was able to turn off the camera and turn off the audio. He was able to do that. Some people aren't. Some people can't just turn off their ears or eyes because it's happening to them. So the privilege of white people, especially white men, being able to close their eyes and la 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 and not to listen, that's the biggest privilege of all. And that's a negative privilege. That is not a good privilege. I regularly have a rant at the end where I'm talking really fast and maybe I'm getting older and I can't do that as fast as I can and I'm not as energetic. And that may be because this year has been hard. It's been difficult, I think, on all of us. Imagine being pulled over on a regular basis for nothing and having to worry not about getting a ticket, but about getting killed. So instead of me ranting, maybe that's what I'm doing right now. I'm ranting, but I am not the person to rant about this. I'm the person to listen. What do we need to do, Zoe? Can you point at your ears and listen? Listen, right? Yeah. Can you open your eyes and go, open your eyes? Like we need to really look at we need to open our eyes, right? Okay, can you listen? And I hope we all take a look within ourselves, confront our demons, and do some soul searching. Because there's a lot of work to do.
I believe that we are uniquely situated to have change because there's more information that's available. I really think that our next election is going to matter. I understand the folks that feel disenfranchised from that system and don't want to participate, and I have no comment upon their choices with that unless they're white folks. But if you are a marginalized person, no comments upon that. However, my positivity is limited by what I know, the history of what people do. And I know that no more than 40% collectively of white people have voted for a Democrat president in decades. I know that white women voted for Trump, over 50%. And they're saying now that the election really does come down to white women. So am I positive? Sure, I love to be positive. But also, I've watched people do what they're going to do. And so I just sit here and wait because you've heard the things. People know. Anyone who is conscious and spends any time at all investigating any of the things, the information is there. You know that this person isn't okay. So the only reason that you're voting is you're being either willfully ignorant or you believe what he says and you support it. So we'll see how many people do that come November. Yep.
God bless you, God bless Wisconsin, and God bless these United States of America. Thank you.